Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Happiness Journey with Dr. Dan podcast, where every journey is worth living. My name is Dr. Dan, and I'm your host for today's episode. I'm a bilingual neurolinguistic programming and cognitive behavior psychotherapist specializing in anger management issues, both court appointed and private, marriage counseling using the EFT method, dissociative disorders, narcissistic personality disorders, depression, anxiety, dream analysis, and also provide life, business, and retirement coaching support. I provide individual one-on-one session in both French and English, and also do group settings. If you need any assistance, reach out to DMV Therapy and Coaching Services at 301-325-1550, and our website can be found at lifecoachdanamzalike.com. Today, I'm very excited to have for our first episode of season 20, a very special guest and CEO of Resona Health, an expert of resonance frequency therapy, Mr. Mark Fox. And just like every of my past episode, I will leave it up to the guests to properly introduce themselves, as no one can do a better job. Mark, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, Dr. Dan. Yeah, so my name's Mark Fox. My main thing I did in my career is, so far anyway, I was an ex-rocket scientist. I was a chief engineer on the space shuttle, but I've done a lot of other different things. I worked at iOmega, zip drives, and e-commerce, and I even still own part of a woman's clothing company. So I've done all kinds of crazy stuff. What I've been doing most recently, and I've been studying this technology for 23 years, but hard after trying to build some designs and make some products and stuff in the last 4 or 5 years. So that's been what's consuming me. I'm a rocket scientist. I don't believe in this magic, but there's too much data that shows it's there and it's real. So there's something there. So that's one big thing that's been keeping me going, and just seeing what it's done for people in their lives. Some of the magic that's happening with some of the protocols so that's keep me going, even though I get overwhelmed with Facebook haters, right? That I'm a
Yes.
bad guy and I'm doing something wrong and I'm a scam artist and all these crazy things, which I've never figured that out. How I'm a scam artist when I have a free return policy anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's yes, that's a little bit of the background. You want me to get into more of how I've discovered the technology, or
We're gonna get to that. I just want to add to the listeners
okay.
that me and my wife, we have tried the Resona Health. I mean, it looks like an iPod, the first version of the iPod. It has like little kind of like the start button, the menu, etc., with arrows. So it's very easy to use, and it deals with ADHD. It deals with you have a lot of I would say option in the menu that you could do with back problem. I mean, the list is, I couldn't even name every aspect of the Resona Health, but actually it's something that my wife and I, we always suffered from lower back problems, and the pain that is, sometimes we get a pinch there, and I let it run all through the night, and the next morning I felt amazing. So it does help. So I just want to let the listeners know that this is no scam. I mean, obviously, frequency therapy is becoming really, really popular. I know that physical therapists are starting to use it, etc. So let's go into the question and answer, because obviously there's a reason why you came up with that. There's a reason why you felt the need that you wanted to share this with the world. So what brought you to really compress this technology into a gadget the size of a mini iPhone?
Yeah, so I came across this technology when my dog had arthritis in her spine. And I was told by a friend of mine who's a veterinarian, he's like, there's this lady that has a magic machine that can reverse arthritis. I'm like, okay. So we looked into that. Unfortunately, she got too sick too fast. That was 23 years ago. But I got really interested in the technology, and I saw what it could do. I saw some of the success with it, but it made me angry that it was being held hostage in a clinical environment with doctors and expensive machines and big machines. I mean, things that looks like beer kegs, right? They're gigantic things, right? Some of them are $20,000 or $30,000. I'm like, there's got to be a way to make one um, more portable and affordable for the most part. And so I purposely made it small so it could be therapy on the go. So it's a big difference, because like I have audible things that people, doctors want me to listen to for 22 minutes. I can't sit still for 22 minutes and listen to an audio. So you just put it in your pocket, and it's interesting that, and you probably don't know this, I'll tell you, it looks like the original iPod on purpose, I designed it that way for familiarity, so people wouldn't think it's something really strange. You're going to laugh when I tell you this, but you're going to notice now because you can't unknow it. The colors on the screen of the mounting frequency bars are the same colors used on a Star Trek tricorder.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I didn't notice
That
it.
on, did that on purpose, so
EEG kind of thing.
consciously people would recognize, hey, this looks familiar, like some kind of medical thing. Yeah, it was on Star Trek for 50 years. So yeah, that's the background of it, is trying to make something affordable. And part of the spark, Dr. Dan, was I saw what it was doing for PTSD and trauma, and the 44 suicides a day in the military, right? You got 22 military veterans, 15 first responders, 5 medical workers, 2 active duty. And that's not counting all the civilians, right? And if there was a solution for that, and I started off modest, it's like, honestly, if I save one suicide, then maybe it was worth it. And I know I've helped way more people than one. So that's been kind of a big motivation. That's what I ran my own clinical trial on, was PTSD and trauma, and we have a 95% success rate. So that's hard to believe. I don't believe it, but that's self-reported by the people that have used it. So that keeps me going. And then just the magic stories once in a while of stuff that it's done that it wasn't intended or designed to do at all. And we can go into some of those, but there's just some miracle stories there that are crazy.
I could imagine, definitely. I mean, look, it helped us, but if you compare those big, massive kind of like MRI machines that you see at the hospital, different clinic, compared to this portable device, how many session or how many times will someone have to use it before they see or experience the same benefit as those big, massive machines?
And the mass machine versus a small one isn't the difference. I think to answer your question is the same, whether it's a big one or a small one. And here's why. I said use it a minimum of 3 to 4 times a week for 30 days. If you don't see results after that, you're probably not going to, or the diagnosis is wrong, one of the two. Where that's coming from is the big machines in practice of that's how many times the person drove to the doctor's office, right? 12 to 16 times. And if they don't get any results, they give up or they try something else, right? So that's what I tell people, use it 3 to 4 times a week minimum, for up to 30 days if you don't see a result. Now, everyone's different, as you know. Some people are, wow, they feel something the first time they try it. Sometimes it takes a couple weeks. And it depends what they're going after, the ailment too, right? Something like PTSD sometimes takes a little longer because it does some weird things like detoxing where they may feel worse the first session or two, or it makes them feel weird or something. So that's what I based it on originally. Now, having said that, in uncharted waters, because I have customers constantly going, hey, can I run this 10 hours a day? I'm like, I don't recommend doing that, but they're doing it. I have people that when they find out there's 59 protocols, they're running asthma, back pain, sleep, arthritis, ED. They're running all of them, right? And I'm like, and then they'll call me and go, well, I'm tired. I'm like, okay, how many are you running? Well, like 12 a day. Time out, cut back a little bit, pick the thing that's causing you the most problem and stick with that maybe once or twice a day protocol. So I'm making that part up because it's the feedback I'm getting from customers is, so it's across the board of, and for me, I use it 4 to 5 times a week for sleep.
Okay.
And it helps me fall asleep, not a lot faster, but I sleep longer. But for me personally, my entire life, I've had nightmares. Like there's always someone trying to kill me. Somebody's chasing me with guns and knives.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, I'm trying to fly to get ready. And you're gonna laugh at this, but now when I run this, I get Halle Berry.
That's
Right? It's
a
like,
dream.
that's way better.
That's actually a good dream. But when people think about resonance, they think about sound or vibration therapy. So I mean, obviously the device doesn't vibrate, and you don't hear any sound. But so how does it connect with the brain activity to be able to heal whatever it's supposed to heal? Especially if it's lower back pain, we're talking about obviously physical ailment. But when we talk about PTSD, it's more in the mind. So how does the sound therapy or vibration therapy affects the way that someone feels when they run your device.
Yeah, one clarification there that you said, which is important, is PTSD is not in the mind alone. It's in every part of the body. It's in all the organs, skin, blood, and the entire mind. Now, PMF and magnetic thing sounds like something magical. It's not. PMF is produced by the Earth 24/7 for 4 billion years. So you're engulfed in it right now. 7.83 hertz, 14.1 and 20. But get back higher level for a minute from PMF. What it is, this is my theory, is it's energy transfer.
Okay.
No, nothing in the world happens without energy transfer. You can't cook a meal, a hot dog. You can't make s'mores on a campfire. You can't, when you fall down the stairs and break your leg, that's an energy transfer from gravity and impact. Everything chemically, everything in the world, your gas in your car, right? Electrical, everything is energy transfer. So think about it as energy and not magnetic fields, because these frequencies can be delivered with PMF, magnetic fields, electrical current, like a TENS unit, you put pads on you, light, vibration, okay, and sound.
Okay.
And sound works extremely well, and that's probably one of the oldest ones. Magnetic therapy has been around for 3,000 years, but think of it as energy transfer. How does it work for each of the ailments? Trial and error. Okay, you have to think of it as there was 8,000 practitioners over 35 years. Think of the frequencies. They're actually frequency pairs, but think of them as ingredients in a recipe, and you're making recipes, right? I added a little oregano, some extra thyme, some garlic. It made it better. When I added paprika, it made it worse. So I take the paprika out. So that's where they come from. The original frequencies, it's sad, but what happened is there was a lot of electrical research, medical world in the early 1900s, Tesla's time, all the way up to 1934 is a very key point in history. A thing called the Flexner Report came out, and it made it illegal to do electrical stimulation. It basically said if you're not doing pharmaceutical drugs or surgery, you're going to lose your license. And at the time, Rockefeller, those guys all owned the American Medical Association, right? So you lost your license. So the rest of the world has been studying this all along, right? We just stopped doing it in 1934. It's just now starting to come back, right? So it's not voodoo weird thing. It's the original ones, like in the 50s, and then a lady resurrected in the 90s, was an old machine she found with card on it. It said 40 hertz for this, 72 hertz for vitality, whatever. I'm making the numbers up. It's actually, I got the card right here. Right? It looks like that. And it's like, okay, where do these frequencies come from? Nobody knows, because the research got scrapped, the machines got scrapped. So they started with this basic thing of an old machine, tried a few frequencies, and then what's been developed is all these 59 core protocols, which, by the way, I now have 70 expansion that use the brainwave. So out of the 59, there's 5 brainwave expansion protocols, and they can be repurposed to 70 other conditions. So I try to teach people it that way. And there's always going to be the question about EMF, because the whole world is scared to death about EMF and all that, and your device is going to kill me. If PMF was bad, everyone would be dead because the Earth's putting it out, right? So the high, the fear of cell phones, they're at millions of hertz, right? So that they could transfer energy to a radio tower and talk to another phone, right? So they are, I've written multiple articles on this because I'm a rocket scientist, but I'm trying to find the super simple way to explain it, because people are freaking out about this magnetic thing. I'm like, yes, this device is the same as your bad cell phone from the standpoint of light. They're both electromagnetic spectrum. So is X-rays that are 10 to the 12th power or whatever they are. They're extremely high energy and ionizing, right? And damage stuff, right? That's why you wear a lead apron when you get an X-ray. So they're all electromagnetic light, but everything in this device is 1 to 1,000 hertz. Your phone's 1,000,000 hertz.
Wow.
X-rays are 10 to the 12th hertz or 14. I'm going to get, somebody's going to pick on me, but it's trillions, right? I mean, it's way, way up there. So it's super, 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 super low energy. If somebody's familiar with a TENS unit, excuse me, a TENS unit, if it was an electrical current, it would be 1,000 times less energy in the TENS unit you're buying at Walgreens or CVS. Okay.
Whoa, okay.
So the energy is super, 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 super low, which you should go, that can't work. It shouldn't work, but it does. There's actually a study, Dr. Dan, where they ran it at pico level Gauss. So this is 9 Gauss. Pico level means 1/1 trillionth of a Gauss. And it still worked.
Oh,
That should not work. And it was a double-blind clinical trial. And like, wow. So it's weird stuff. So it's not new and weird as if you think about that, like the Earth, right, is putting it out. But I talked about the recipe, but they're 2 frequency pairs at the same time. So think of a chord on a guitar. This is an oversimplification, but frequency A is where is it? What's wrong with it? Kidney inflammation. And it's going through a series of stuff. PTSD, as I said, is not in your mind only. It goes through 76 different frequency pairs. It's targeting every single part of your body and chakras and all kinds of different stuff to get what you need. So,
but so if let's say now there was a research about people using their cell phone and put it near their ear, which is very close in contact with the brain. So does your device will do the opposite, will heal the brain from all of what the cell phone is generating in a negative way, or it's not powerful enough to reverse the effect of a cell phone when you use it on a regular basis?
good question. What it's doing, this is what we believe it's doing. Again, I'm a rock scientist, so you have theories and proofs. They have very few
We can
proofs.
provide, yes.
Well, I get in this argument with doctors all the time when they get, what's your mechanism of action and prove that? I go, you don't know how aspirin works. And if you think you do, you're delusional. You have a theory and you don't know how any drug in the world works. None. You have theories about synapses and stuff, but you haven't proven that, right? So they're just a theory of what it's doing. The theory is think of a car battery, and this has been proven. Your cells, specifically mitochondria, have a voltage on, just like a car battery. If that voltage gets low, you get sick. So it's been proven to increase the voltage on the cell, which allows the cell to do metabolism correctly and absorb, right? So it allows it to do all that. And then ATP, as you know, is adenosine triphosphate. It's the #1 fuel that your cells use for food. And it's increased ATP up to 500%. So those 2 things, recharging your cell's battery and giving it more food, allow your cells to fix themselves. So to your point, if it's done damage to whatever in your body from a cell phone, it's allowing your body to fix those damaged cells.
But if the brain cells cannot regenerate, then we really lose them. So how is that regenerating the essence of the cell that is being burned by the radiation of the phone?
Well, your brain's reproducing cells all the time.
Okay.
Right. So it's just helping that. It's helping your body fix itself. It's giving it the energy it needs. Again, that's the theory. And I try to, when I get too deep in this, and I was like, I don't want to sell voodoo and I don't have proof for that. So I'm just telling you what I think it's doing and what the community thinks it's doing, but you can't prove, Dr. Dan, you cannot prove how a slice of pizza gets heated in a microwave. There's a theory, but here's the theory that the rotational energy, you're hitting the rotational energy of a water molecule and it's spinning on its own axis, creating friction, which heats up the pizza. No one in the world has ever videotaped or photographed a spinning water molecule. Never, ever, ever been done. Okay. Technology doesn't exist to do that. So there's just theories on how it works. What really matters is looking at the results. And then you get the whole placebo argument. It's like, yeah, maybe. You tell you what, though, when a guy has a gun in his mouth and he wants to commit suicide and he decides not to, I don't care if it's 100% placebo, right? The guy didn't commit suicide, right? So you can tell I get a little emotional about that part because it's like, what I can always tell when somebody calls me and they start going into the deep dive. I'm like, hey, I already told you 27 times I don't know. Yeah. Try it for 30 days. It doesn't work. Send it back. Okay. That's all I can tell you. Right. And so I don't want to spend too much time on that. It's like my #1 goal is don't hurt anybody.
Yes.
So I've spent forever on energy levels I just described and the research and what are side effects? Almost none. We can go into a couple of them, but they're not really side effects. But anyway, you can get drunk or stoned on it if you're in severe pain. I mean, try it, right? And #2 is I don't want to sell voodoo. So I'm just trying to show that it works therapeutically, that the person reported. And if we can get as many biomarkers as we can instead of subjective data, what objective data can we get affordably, right? Because
That's
It's me and the fish behind me. I don't have a bunch of investors at the university to go do a bunch of studies. Although I did spend a bunch of money on PTSD clinical trial, right? But in the end, if you're not hurting anybody, it's relief before reason.
Mhm.
Quit concentrating on the reason. And you know what? Most people that will come to this technology do so because they're broken and nothing else has helped them, or hasn't helped them enough,
Mhm.
or that drug has too many side effects, or the surgery didn't fix it, right? So I'm looking for something else. And more of the world, America, let's start with that because the rest of the world's are ahead of us.
Mhm.
The America leans towards, all right, alternative therapies. I want to go try something, right? So
But do you feel, Mark, that if let's say you get the naysayers that works in the medical community and they ask you for proof, can you just go back and tell them, well, look, all the scientists that talk about black holes in the universe, can they really prove if there's an alternate universe on the other side? These are just quantum theories. Again, it just relies on research that you have done, and you base yourself on what's available, and you make the connection, the link of what your device can actually offer versus what's already proven. But then again, it's hard to be able to convince someone that is so brainwashed by the pharmaceutical company that you need medication to treat this or to treat that, whatever it is. And for them, they're afraid of holistic approach because holistic means it's going to take business away from them. And that's the only fear that comes into their head. How much money am I going to lose if I try to encourage people to use resonance therapy?
yeah, well, usually, so the analogy of black holes, it's not that unproven. If there's about 35,000 published papers on this technology and double-blind studies, just go to PubMed, type in PEMF, you'll see, you know, the Facebook haters go, there's no proof. And I even wrote an article called Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire. Here's what we do know, or we think we know. PubMed, here's what my articles are. Was it with this exact device? No, but they're both like a guitar. Any musician can take another guitar and play the same song for the most part, right? So you get a lot of those haters and stuff, and it's like it's not like black holes, but it's further out there. And it's exactly what you said. I had a guy last week on a podcast go, "Why are you not world famous?" Okay, because I don't have the money to make the noise. And first of all, I said, you already know the answer to that. Who owns the 6 o'clock news? Who owns primetime TV?
Mhm.
The drug companies. You've never seen a commercial that's not a drug commercial on CBS, ABC, NBC News, right? It's all the drug commercials because they own it. And it's exactly what you said. The drug companies don't ever, it'll never be a model for the drug company to have a device that isn't consumable and can be shared,
Mhm.
right?
True.
The reason my best seller is 2 packs because the family members borrow them and they never get them back. They do that, and friends and family will borrow it, and they just like, okay, so they buy 2 packs and stuff. But the other one too is this: if picture it's 1600, and I told you I got this thing called anesthesia. It's going to knock the person out, allow you to cut them in pieces and sew them up, and they're not going to feel it. That's insane, right? Okay, just look at all that technology that was pure magic until it wasn't. You know, I think Arthur Clarke made that comment, right? Is everything's pure magic until it's not. I'm paraphrasing, right? But picture being on the Mayflower with a cell phone. Explain that to the other guys on the ship what this thing is and how it works. This is not that bizarre because magnetic therapy has been around for, I think the first documentation was 3,000 years ago.
Okay.
Right? On magnetic therapy. What's been discovered in the last 100 years is that pulsed electromagnetic therapy is much more powerful, much more therapeutic than just a static magnet. Okay. And that's what's been kind of fine-tuned since the 50s and 90s. But it is sad. Most of a ton of research that I have is stuff that you know, European stuff that's translated. There's a boatload of studies in Russia that no one in the United States has ever seen. They've never been translated.
Mhm.
Right? So there is a ton of research out there on it. It's just, you may think about a guy named Rich Hall was a comedian in the 70s, and he had a thing called sniglets that he had people mail in words that aren't in the dictionary that should be, right? And one of them was called boson. I love that one. A bozo and ozone. It's an invisible gas that surrounds people that stops new ideas from getting in their head.
Okay.
Right? So no boson, just try to tenderize your brain and keep an open mind. I'm seeing this, Dr. Dan, that I'm starting to get convinced that you can make it not work by being so pessimistic, mind over matter, that your brain is already made up that there's no way this thing can ever work. I've had a few returns where I bought it for my husband. He goes, no, and he just sent it back, right? Or I think there's part of that. And then there could be the extreme on the other end that you're so hopeful that it's going to work that the placebo effect might have been half of it or some part of it, right? Which is okay. So there's, and I had a weird thought, the other day is like, I've been making this argument myself and I've heard other people make is, well, when you do it on pets, animals don't, there's no placebo effect with pets. I'm like, and I've repeated that myself. And I thinking about it lately, I'm like, has anyone ever proved that? Because a horse or a dog knows they're being loved and treated. They know their owner's trying to help them. Could that be a placebo effect? And has anyone ever done a study like that?
Mhm.
I can't find one where you actually did, sugar pill versus whatever on a dog where they were both treated and a control group wasn't petted while it was happening. So maybe there is a placebo effect on animals, right? So I'm actually fighting my own argument there. It's like, maybe there is, maybe there isn't, just trying to keep, because that could happen. My dog knows when she was loved.
Yes.
Example, I'm looking at her picture right here. She had ear mites, constantly fighting those. She hates me to hold her down. She's a 90-pound dog. Take Q-tips in her ear and try and get all that nastiness out and put drops in her ear. They hated that, right? But she let me do it to her because she knew I was trying to help her.
Okay, okay, I see. So I mean, I'm sure that they know, they can feel that you are there to help and not there to hurt the dog. So I
They feel
think
the
that
energy, right?
yeah. So, but the thing is that when it comes to believing into something that has not been proven actively, and that doctors will not recommend this, the resonance therapy and all. So do you think because of that, people already have their mindset shift into more negativity versus positivity? Or for those who have tried every single possible option, and when it comes to surgery, when it comes to treatment, medication, and nothing has worked, does this device is basically the last course of action?
It was for a lot of time, but I don't think that's true anymore. And doctors are using it. Okay. So there's doctors out there. I have lots of doctors using it, not enough. Okay. The majority of them are going to go, the majority of the doctors are going to play it safe, and like most people do in life. The whole statistics of gambling. Now, if you have the same odds of losing money, right? Everyone's going to go on the safe side, right? So doctors are like, my doctor, right? My last one, she died unfortunately January 1st, but I would try, my pet peeves of cholesterol and blood pressure, and I'm presenting all the data to her and she won't look at it. She goes, no, I'm going to do what the American Medical Association says and nothing else, because I don't want to get sued. I don't. Now, there are some doctors using it. Here's what happens a lot, Dr. Dan, is my customers will go in, diabetics and stuff, and they'll go, hey, your blood sugar is down to 100. You changed your diet finally and started doing what I told you to? And they go, no, I use this magic thing. They snatch it out of their hands and then they end up calling me. What is this? I'm like, it's an insulin protocol. It reduces, right? So it's getting more and more, and there's more people asking for it. I mean, everyone hates the side effects on drugs, right? And so most people do. There is a group of people, as you know, just give me the blue pill. I don't care. Just I want the pill. I want the easy way out. But
Yes.
more and more people don't want that. So it's not like it doesn't exist. There's more chiropractors than MDs and DOs using it, in my experience. Physical therapists, those type of people. But it's getting more mainstream. I have several. I'd say maybe I have 20 doctors that have wholesale accounts with me that are buying them in 10 packs, and
Mm.
they're seeing the results, going, there's something here, right? So you have your range of skepticism with doctors just like anybody else, right? And
Absolutely, yes. So if you could tell our listeners before we end this podcast, where can they find the device? How long does it take to ship? And if, let's say, they have any questions, who can they contact?
yeah. So Resona.health. So it's RESONA, it's short for resonance. Resona.health/Dr. Dan, just DRDAN. So we created a unique landing page for your listeners. They can click on a link there and go as far the rabbit hole as they want to. Start at the top, and I'll get you all the way down to 6,000 things you can go right. But to start the highest, I have a very good 22-minute video infomercial that explains it.
Mhm.
And then it's normally $399, and we give all your listeners $150 off
Okay.
if they go to that landing page. So that's where I would send them, spend all the time they want, and they can email me anytime. I hate to even say this on recorded video, but I'm the only person in this industry that has a phone number that answers the phone.
Oh, good, good.
So I get called all the time. I may get divorced over it because I like hide the phone on vacation because people call me at 2 in the morning. I
Oh,
need to know. I want to talk about this Sunday night. I'm like, I'm asleep. Anyway, that's what you go.
at least
Arizona.health
you
forward
don't
slash.
send them to like India when you have like answering service there. So that's actually good. But on that note, Mark, that is all the time that we have for today's podcast. And I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. And thank you again for participating and inspiring our many listeners with this incredible knowledge. Now, we hope that you've all enjoyed today's episode. And I'm also very excited about the many upcoming guests that we have scheduled for season 20 of the Happiness Journey podcast, filled with inspirational stories just like the one that you listened today. Now, here are some concluding words of wisdom. Resonance therapy, also known as sound or vibration therapy, is a holistic method that entails subjecting the body and mind to particular frequencies to encourage healing and equilibrium. Although very promising ongoing research is delving into the precise impact of resonance therapy on PTSD, it is crucial to emphasize that this therapy should not be regarded as an independent solution for PTSD. Instead, it is most effective when integrated into a comprehensive treatment plan that encompasses psychotherapy, counseling, and other mental health-based interventions. Those dealing with PTSD should seek guidance from mental health professionals to identify the most suitable and effective treatment strategy tailored to their individual needs. My name is Dr. Dan Amzalag, and you may all keep pursuing your amazing journey in life.